Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. Okay, so the exciting day, we get to start piecing together the design that we're going to use on our rice bag. So the first part of this series was all about how we're going to construct it, and we made the lining, and we had a bit of a look at how we would do the loops and pretty much the construction of the whole bag. So I've got 3 linings made, so the potential of 3 little bags. Now, as you know, if you have been watching already, I plan to use these bags as actual storage containers on my desk. So I think it's just a fantastic way of showcasing some of my projects with a little storage container that's useful to sit on my desk. So that's sort of the gist of it, and how I can justify making a heap of little bags that I really don't need but can use as storage. Anyway, let's get into it. Now, first of all, let's have a look at some bits and bobs that I've been collecting in the Japanese stitching category. Don't know if we'll use all of it, but there's certainly things I've picked up over time and just want to have a play with. Now, I have there the Japanese embroidery thread here, but I don't think I'm going to use it because I have a couple pre-printed panels tucked away for a rainy day. So I think I'll explore the thread for that. And I'm just going to use my go-to DMC Perle Cotton number 8. It's beautiful to use. I know it well. It fits the tone of the colours that I want to use, so I'm just going to use that. Now, in my travels at various different shops, I've picked up these little stencils. Now, what they are is a Perspex piece with a design cut out of it. So all you need to do then is, using a marking pen, you can, you know, mark in your design that you want to embroider. So I got this little ruler, which is not a bad idea for someone who's just starting out and wants to, or you want to have the precise lines. This would be really good to get your boro stitch nice and straight. I don't know if I want to go that precise. I sort of still want that rustic feel. I like the colours, the tones and the styling, but I still want that, you know, organic feel. So I don't think I'm going to do straight lines with the ruler. Now, these little guys, these little stencils, you use them to create lines for yourself to stitch. These have potential. Now, in my wisdom, I've picked up 2 of them, it would seem. Yeah, they look slightly different. Yeah, straight line. I don't know, they two curves versus 3. Sizing's different. These are a bit smaller, but anyway. So there's those. This is a classic. 7 treasures. So they all have names in Japanese, but I'm not going to say the names because I don't want to embarrass the culture with my interpretation of them. These are waves, and these are 7 treasures. So these have potential, but we'd need to have the space for them. See, my template's only small. My space is only small, so maybe 1 might fit, but we'll see how we go. This one has great potential. Let's unwrap this one. I like the idea of the little dragonflies. There's 2 sizes in there, a small and a large. Yeah, I think these have great potential that we could do some little dragonflies. So we'll have a play with those. So let's just pop them aside for now. Now, the fabric, I've picked up quite a lot of fabric from Bittern By The Bug. Andrea is in Etsy, and she has all sorts of things available in the way of the needles and the threads. She has these stencils, and she also has packs of fabric plus fabric by the meter. So a little while ago, I bought 3 packs. The first one was just whites, just a selection of little white snippets. These are all indigo dyed fabrics. I have used some in a previous project, but they've got plenty there, so it was quite good value. And then these are just some classic Japanese textiles, which I just think are gorgeous. Oh, look, there's our dragonfly. Gorgeous. There's a bit of everything in there, dark blues and things like that. That's, yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. And then any fabrics in amongst that pack that caught my eye, I went back and bought a bigger piece of it. So if I was doing a cushion or something, I just had a little bit more in the way of fabric, not a lot. This is probably only about 30 centimetres. So I just picked a couple that I thought, oh, they're not a bad little mix. And then she had a pack there as well, which I thought was pretty good. I do like some of these. So they're my fabrics. I've got a lot of choice, probably too much, and it's probably going to be difficult to narrow this down to this space because remember, we've only got 6.5 inches by 6.5. These are the 2 here I picked up in New Zealand. The one shop I went to had a section of Japanese fabrics, so it was lovely to actually see them in person, and I picked up these 2. And I think I noticed that one of these, I think, is in one of the packs, but that's all good. Okay, where do we start? Where do we start? Well, maybe we start with a dark blue because I think I want to do a dragonfly. So let's clear a bit of space. And I need to cut some fabric. Now I did grab my rotary cutter. I've got a couple rulers here because I wasn't sure how much space I'd have to do all this because I don't usually cut fabric like this. It's usually just with scissors and we cut a little snippet off. So I think we're going to use some dark blue to get our dragonfly. I do like the 3 of them. So I'd need a piece of fabric that at least would fit the 3 of them, I think. So let's start with that. How am I going to cut this fabric? How big is that? So the stencil's about 3 3/4. So if I went 4, maybe 12 centimetres, that would be pretty close. Maybe I just take it through there. Now I should actually, I might use my mat. Everything needs to be fairly straight. I sort of want to make a bit of an effort to keep it that way. So I'm going to line up this fabric on this mat. Then, where's my big square? It's way overkill, but I just find it easier. Let's get this fabric bits down the side here so I can maneuver. Okay. Now we're cooking. I just didn't want to hack into it and have, I'm going to do, I think, let's think about this, girl. 4 3/4. So I'm going to line up my fabric on my grid underneath. best I can to the best of my abilities. I'm going to find the 4 3/4 and then put my grid and my ruler together. And the theory is this will be nice and straight. And I think I'm going to take that piece off. All straight, yes. Then I've got a morsel of fabric that I can sort of easily grab and use instead of having to have all these big bits. Well, I've done it. I've finally cut my beautiful fabrics. You know, when you've got them and you keep looking at them and you're like, oh, I don't want to cut that. Yeah, it's silly, isn't it? Okay, so let's put the ruler to one side. And now, where's our dragonflies? Yeah, that's going to be pretty good. Just lining it up to the bottom of the, so bring it up a bit so you can see. I think I could cut it again. Got a small little square here, which is better for this type of space. Yeah, that's not long enough. Oh, goodness sakes. I feel really nervous. I don't know why. Must be because it's something new, a little bit out of my comfort zone. Don't know why. Fabric's fabric, stitches are stitches, but I do feel a little bit of nervous energy. I think it's because I don't want to waste any. That's silly. Now this fabric has a little design one side and then this beautiful blue the other. That is, I'm going to use this side. I really like the strong colour of it. Now, yeah, that will be good. I really could do with a white pen. Didn't think of that, did I? Do I even own a white pen? Oh gosh. Yeah, I didn't think of that. I can get a white pen. But what I'll do in the meantime is get all of these base fabrics down. So that will go there. Okay. Yeah. So there's a side seam there. Do we sneak it over into the bottom corner? Keep them over a little bit and up a little bit. So then the side seam comes in and takes care of that. Yeah, I think that'll work. All right, so the theory is when I get a white pen, got a blue and a red and a brown, but I don't have a white pen. I have a chalk pencil somewhere. I haven't used that for years. You just draw around your stencil, marking in your little dragonfly or your design. So I will have to come back to that. But in the meantime, let's work on our background. So I think we've got that sort of sorted. Let's have a look at some of these fabrics. I really, really like these. Just beautiful. Just needs to be squared up. So I'll just use this little ruler, neaten up the edges a little. So what are you all up to today? What are you doing? Are you going to be in your crafty space doing something? Or are you out and about? Or have you got some friends coming over? Okay, just squaring it up. I might as well neaten it. I think once I get this first one nutted out, I'll feel a little bit better. I do feel nervous. Don't know why. I think the fabric's limited and it's been such a little treasure for a while, and now that I know that the bag will, you know, work, it should be fine. But I do feel yeah, I like that. So I might trim that. Through there. It's quite early in the morning here and I can actually hear an owl outside. There's a little hoot hoot going on. Nice little, a pretty little morsel. I might just come back from the edge a fraction because then there's more in the visible space than lost in the seam, because remember our seams are 1.5 inches, so I can be a bit cheeky and bring that back a little bit. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Oh, do I pin it? No, I might change it. Don't know if I want tie-dye. I think I need some neutrals. Where's the rest of the fabric? Definitely a stripe. Let's have a look at this lighter stripe. Already my desk is in a mess. For goodness sakes. Hello, Casper. Don't jump up, pussycat. Let's just cut a morsel off of this. I won't make it too big because I do like that selvage edge. That's beautiful. It nearly feels like a table runner. And the other one I want a piece of are these neutrals here. So I'll put that over there on my little pile. Sorry you can't see everything. This is really crepey and soft. It's so pretty. I'll take that selvage because that'll be nice, I think. Oh, goodness sakes, there's not enough room. Gosh. All right, we got you cornered now. Get some of these pieces off. I probably should have done this before I started, just nibbled into a few of the bigger panels, fold them up, put them away. Mightn't feel so daunting knowing that I've got some bits out. Silly, isn't it? It's always the way when I first start a new pack of fabric. It's like I'm cutting into something that's a treasure. So let's just fold that one up, pop it on the little pile. I need some of this stripe. Just a piece. No particular size, I'm just sort of cutting a chunk off. Just get it over and done with and chop it. Silly, silly girl. They're like our little treasures, aren't they? Okay. I might do this stripe as well. Oh, and that one. Oh gosh, I should have probably done this earlier. I do apologise, but it's all part of it, isn't it? Getting yourself organised for your project. You get to see, oh, look at that, made in Japan. Oh, I think I need that edge because I could add that to my piece. It's not made in Japan, but if anyone looks at the bag and goes, oh, what's that all about? Maybe the made in Japan will help them. That's something my husband would say, what's that all about? I can have made in Japan really bloomin' obvious. At least this time someone will say, oh, what are you using that for? What's that for? I can say it's going to be a container on my craft table that will be very useful. Let's get a bit of the stripe. Now we're cooking. I'm chopping now. Feel better. Getting into it. Oh, that's doubled over. That was nearly crucial. We only want... Can't believe I don't have a white pen. Didn't think of that. Oh well. That should be easily solved. Okay, so we've got a bit of the stripe. What was the last one? Was that creamy fabric, wasn't it? Yep. Oh, there's a pale denim-y blue there as well. Let me get rid of some of these things. We don't need that business card, that ruler, and that ruler. Okay, now I feel like I've got a bit of space. I can use the canvas as well because of its colouring suits. So there might be a side that is seen. I don't know. I went onto Pinterest and typed in Japanese rice bags and had a look at some of the way people form their fabrics, and then I had a look at Boro stitch and some of the stitching that they do. And what was the other thing? I think that was about it. And oh my goodness, just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I've done that one. This one we want. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, there's a little corner here we might just nick off, I think. Sorry you can't see, but the fabric's got a funny little dog leg because I've obviously been here before, so I'm just going to take that little bit. That is plenty, enough. At least now I can clear my desk a little bit and just have some little morsels. So we've got the cream, the stripe, this guy, and some neutrals. Oh, beautiful. Let's just surround ourselves with all these yummies. Now, so I've got those. Okay. I hope you can see enough there. All right, I'll cut over the side here so I've got room to move. All right, I feel like I need neutral. I think that's why I started cutting all this fabric. I think I need to bring a neutral piece in Do we put it underneath? That would work. I think that will be. So you want just enough of an overlap underneath everything that it doesn't pop out and you can easily catch it with a stitch. I think we'll do that. We'll put a little mark there and a little mark there. That is such a soft fabric. Really lightweight. It's nearly feels crepey. Be beautiful to wear in summer. Okay, so we've got a little bit of you. Pop you to one side. Where's my mark? So let's pop that under there. Yeah, I like that. Just love these colours. Now, do we do that stripe up there? Yeah, I do like that. These are so my colours. If I was to pick clothes out of my cupboard, there'd be a lot of navy. I might leave that at a full length actually, because I don't think I need to trim that. Oh, maybe I do, just to lift it up a bit. And that was on that corner. So if we cut that about there. Yeah, I've just always gravitated to blues when I wear clothes. And if it's not blue, it's black. And then to really, you know, spice it up, it's bright colours. Florals, bright colours. That would be my clothing. Insipid colours like these beiges and that I love, but they tend to wash me out a little bit because I'm a blonde. I've got the classic blonde fair complexion. So I find that probably my skin tone is under those sorts of colours, so I tend to wash out a little bit. I think I could take a little bit off of that. Love that little morsel. So I think how I'm going to do the videos, this might change because it's hard when you're starting a new project, how the proceedings will like that. I think I'll focus just on one side, and then when we start the next side, you'll see this finish. So I'll sort of set myself up with a little bit of homework. But the only thing I can't underestimate is how long it'll actually take to stitch these things. So I just need to, I guess, play it by ear a little bit. Oh, look at that piece. I noticed there's a lot of circles in some of the stitching that I was looking at in Pinterest, you know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to overdo the dragonflies, you know, crowd them, because they're the feature. And I think once I get a bit of stitching happening, so let's just get these down with some invisible stitch. Good old invisible stitch. Then we'll get some borrow stitch in, which will just be that straight running stitch, just to bed it all down. Couple pins, I just don't want it to move. Yeah, see, my thickness feels are really good. And I think by the time it gets to the side of the bag, I think it'll be just fine. So if you're wondering what I'm doing next, I'm just doing a series of little stitches across the piece. Now, to keep everything nice and secure, because it is a bag at the end of the day, and if I decide to do minimal stitching on some of these little patches, at least I know that in behind is this rows and rows of invisible stitch. So if I was to use a bright colour, you would easily see what I'm up to, but you're going to have to take my word for it, I think, because it's going to disappear a little bit. And my stitches, I'm going to do literally row after row. I'm really going to quilt it down. I think it'll be worth it. It's going to give the panel a really nice feel. There'll be like this little dimpling happening. And then I can get in here and make sure I've got a stitch right around these edges to really hold that little guy in place. So I will do a couple rows. Then I might stop the video and come back. I could probably, do I need to do that? I think I could probably get into some normal stitching, but I don't like jumping too far ahead. I don't know, I'm no good for YouTube. You're just getting it as it happens with me. I might just use this bit of thread and come back. So I've dropped down and I'm now doing a second row all the way back across my piece. Tiny little stitch at the top, but a good centimetre forward we go with the needle and thread, and then a little stitch, away we go. I'm going to try and verbalise these invisible stitch more in my videos, so I do apologise for anyone who watches me on a regular basis. You'd be thinking, oh my goodness, girl, we know that. But I do get a lot of questions. There's so many new people coming to the world of slow stitch, and it's so good. So we've got to stop for a moment and just remember that a newbie will be sitting there going, what is the girl talking about? So invisible stitch is the #1 question. I think it's because it's a fairly new term. In the day when I was a young girl, it was called tack it down. When I was quilting, you would tack down your pieces of fabric. And those newbies would be like, ah, is that what it is? I think we say invisible stitch because we need it to help keep our pieces organised, but we don't want to see it. And the other benefit it gives us as a slow stitcher is it gives you that dimpling effect on your fabric, and it's really nice. Really melt your fabric together, or your pieces together. It's really handy with lace and doilies because you often need a lot of pins, and pins are painful. Okay, so I've done 2 runs across to secure that fabric. Okay, so let's pretend that that's all invisible stitched. Now, I'm going to get myself a piece of embroidery cotton. I need to change my needle, I think, because that eye, oh no, that should be all right. It's probably a bit small. Splitting my, oh, come on. Splitting my cotton just a little bit, but we got it. Now we've got to decide what stitches we do. Definitely just straight lines on that and that. But I think we could probably frame this guy. So I'm just going to come up here. Actually, I might do overcast stitch. I do like overcast stitch. It'll be like a patch. I'm going to make them reasonably small because I don't want to overpower the piece. And then it's just a case of stitching it down. Like little mini projects that become something. These would be great. You could just make a heap of them, have them with you, just stitch away, and then spend a day making them into the bag. Once you know your size, this is only going to be, you know, a small one, 6.5 inches is the square. But it'll be handy. Once I get a feel for it too, I'll know, you know, what I want to use. And then I can have a look at some of my shelving in my room, maybe measure the shelf and said, well, let's do one that is 9 by 9, would fit somewhere. Even just somewhere to hold all of the little stencils, you know, decorative little piece. I really like the thought of using fabrics from a project. So when I get to the end of a project, and especially if it gets gifted to someone and you're like, oh, you just love it, put together a little rice bag with all of those fabrics, and then you forever got it and it's useful. But just make sure there's lots of layers of fabric because you want the sides to stand, otherwise you'll be like probably more like a bag, which is fine. You can make a bag and, well, use it as a bag. You'll be making a bag, that's what I'm trying to say. Can still hear that owl. So once I get a white pen, I may even need to go to Spotlight. I think my chalk pen is around, but whether it's got a fine enough tip, maybe I can sharpen it up. You know, it's got quite a rounded, that stitch is a bit, small. Trying to keep them similar. I think the dragonfly panel, I will do a running stitch just around the outer edge of it. just to frame it a little. Another classic stitch that you see in Boro style projects is a little X. So maybe I could find a blue thread or even a red thread, just a pop of red. Oh, I don't know if I want to bring red in. Do I? I don't know. And on that beige piece, do some little X's. I could, on the beige piece, do some of those little waves. Wonder what the stencil. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. I'll just go to the edge of that blue fabric so it's nice and secure. Otherwise we'll be here all day. Mind you, it just takes time just to think through the possibilities. Okay, let's stop for a minute. I should have close to enough fabric to do it anyway. Now, let's grab this little stencil here. Not that one. These ones. Whether they're too big for my space, possibly. How do I open this? Sticky tape everywhere. Good if it was that size. I don't think it is. Oh, there's two. There's smaller ones. Oh, that would work, you know, guys. I really need that stitched down. I'm getting ahead of myself. It's going to be trouble. Let's square that blue fabric up. I'm wondering. Come on. Let's turn it around so I'm out of the way. I'm wondering if I can get this design. See, there's a seam. Would I see enough? So you've got to imagine. I might draw it on. What have we got to lose? I'm going to draw it on with the heat pen. And if it looks like it's just, we're going to lose too much. I can always just iron over it. Let's have a look. Why not? Let's have a play. So you just follow your stencil. So probably that line there would be all I'd get, but I'd get a hint of the others. Probably not enough space, but we'll carry on. Mightn't look too bad. Hopefully that's enough. Yeah, I do like it. So if we lose 1/4 of an inch, or 1/2 an inch seam, we would lose all of that. So what's it look like now? Yeah, see, it's a little bit, can we move so it's not too bad on the side. I do like it. What do you guys think? I do like it. Do we try and make these guys smaller, but they're sort of the feature? I wonder if we pulled in, what did the other one look like? Is it bigger? Yeah, it's deeper. What if we bring it in a fraction? Yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll bring it down a fraction. Let me put the iron on. We're just going to have one more go. Okay, I'll just whack the iron on. I'm going to iron that out. And I'm going to try and draw it in again, but I'm just going to squitch it down a little bit, so just that this line will be missing, so it'll just be the two. And if that doesn't look right, I'll come up with something else, but I think it will work. Okay, I might stop the video, iron that out, re-sketch it. I'll finish off this, and then we'll come back and sort of finalise a few more stitches. All right, guys, I will see you in a moment. Hello, everyone. I'm back. Okay, I went looking for that chalk pen, and for the life of me, I cannot find it. I know it's here somewhere, but I suspect that I probably need a white water-soluble pen, which I don't own. So I sat back down and I finished the stitching in here. Really pleased with it. I know I'll lose about that much in the seam, but I think there's enough of a hint of it there to show the design. And what it has given me is a little bit of confidence to do a bigger area. I'm really happy with that. So I've ironed the invisible pen out. And then I started drawing in some lines here. Now, normally I just go for it, but I thought, oh, I'm going to keep a little bit of structure about my stitching. So I don't know if you can see it, I've put in about 4 red lines there to start doing just some straight borrow stitch. And having those little red lines there will just make it look a little bit more uniformed. So I thought I'll just turn the video back on. I didn't achieve much in the way of the dragonflies, but we'll finish this video off. I think there's only about 15 minutes of time really left. Finish this off. I show you this, get this bit started. And then I'll have another look for this chalk pencil. It's an old girl. It was in the sewing machine that I inherited from my grandmother. I inherited her Singer Treadley sewing machine, and it was in the little drawer on the side. So I'm sure it's there somewhere. I didn't look real deep. So I'll go and do that after the video finishes. Then I'll come back and we'll work in the next video on the dragonfly section. And I guess if I can't find the pen, that gives me time to slip down to Spotlight and see what I can find. It'd have to be something. I need to also double check that that chalk will disappear, because I don't want to draw it all on and then find that the chalk is there forever. It'll sort of muddy the embroidery by having the shadow of the chalk. It should disappear, it should, but yeah. So the rest of our time we'll just be doing some straight stitch through here. Could probably do the border of the blue, the frame. So I might just finish this thread off. Gee, this fabric's hard to push through. That was beautiful because it's crepey. This is nearly like a ribbed fabric that you would make a table runner out of. It's really pretty. But boy, going to need some protective needlework gear, I think. Try not to make my rows too tight too. You want your work to sit flat, and I tend to be a little bit tight on the stitches, and especially when I turn a corner and come back. So it's pretty important that you watch your tension, for want of a better description. Should have just enough. I know when I watch videos of them doing this type of work, they run the needle through 3 or 4 times. But this is so stiff. It will help with the basket, mind you. Okay. Got my iron clicking here beside me. So I'm going to end that off. Ow. Now I won't be able to do the sides because I haven't got a pen yet. I wonder how straight I can get them. Let's just iron those few little lines out from underneath those 2 rows. Beautiful. I could even do a little bit of a decorative thing here. I could get, instead of just straight stitching it, could do, you know, maybe leave a gap. Yeah, I won't do the frame on the blue because I really would like a line to make sure I keep it straight. I'm going to be very precise, I think. Why not? Thoroughly enjoying it. So what I might do is stay in this region. I've got 10 minutes left. I'm going to leave a gap and then run the next 2 lines. And then I might put some vertical lines in just to make it a little interesting. So I'm skipping one of those lines that I sketched in with the red pen. And I'm going to work my way back. Yeah. Oh, this is very addictive. If you haven't tried this style of stitching, please do, because I think you'll find it really interesting. And you don't even need to have Japanese fabrics. Just try and put together some blues and beiges and things like that. And I think you'll find that you'll get the feeling for it just in those fabrics. But look, at the end of the day, you can apply this to any colour combination you like. You could have yellows, reds and blues. You could put a pop of pink in amongst it just to break it up. Go to Pinterest and type in Japanese Boro stitch, Japanese rice bag, and oh, beautiful. I like the idea that it's a small little piece too. It's not overwhelming. So if you were having someone visit that had very small amount of experience in stitching and you were sitting around chatting, take them into your craft room and set them up with a little project like this. I think you'll find that you'll have them hooked. Keep it simple, just little stitches. Don't overwhelm them. I like the fact that you really only need morsels of fabric too. And if you can get hold of some scrappy packs, there's heaps in Etsy. You only need bits. And if you are an inexperienced crafter, you will have a room overfloweth with bits. All those little project bits. Imagine a red work one. Oh, goodness me. I think what I'll do with this series, if I really am happy with the bag, we'll do numerous bags and just pick a theme and a colour and a style and go for it. It'll be just a collection of, oh, I like that. So where will I go next? It'll be a collection of activities. I might start doing some of the lineal downward lines. Just want to have a see at what that will look like. I might put them really close together. Or do we keep going with the, I don't need to draw anything, I guess. I can just follow the fabric, to be honest. It's in the way. Okay. The downward lines aren't noticed as much because of the lines in the fabric. Is my observation. They're there, I can see them, but they're not as obvious as the ones going across. They're sort of a little lost. Yeah, I don't like that. I'm going to pull it out and I'm just going to work some more going across. I feel like they're lost in the print. Now, I think I can get one more line. Going across, I think, and then we'll hit that side seam again. So let's just get this guy drawn in. Then the side seam will kick in, I think. Let's just measure it. 1/4 of an inch, yeah. One more. And then we can iron it, and that'll get rid of my guide. Yeah, that's heaps better. Maybe if I was bringing red into it or another colour, I could probably do something. Don't get too big, girl. I'm rushing. Take your time. Think about your stitch. I was starting to think about, we're getting to the end of the video, what else do I need to say? What's my homework? And I started to notice my stitches started to get a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to take a moment just to slow the brain a little. I might need to actually venture more to a fabric store to get a pen. Just don't know if there'll be what I need at Spotlight. And for me, I'm filming this on a Saturday, so I should be able to get to my local quilt store, I think. Go for a little drive. My friend has opened a little cafe up actually near it. Well, they've bought a cafe near it, next door, or around behind it. And we haven't had a chance to pop down and say hello and see how they're going. So maybe a road trip is in order. All right, my iron is still on. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love it. I love it. I'm not being very brave, I don't think, with it yet. But I think once I get my feature in there of these dragonflies, I think it'll be good. I need to get my invisible stitch happening here. I got all that done, but this is a little bit flighty. All right, guys, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to try and find the chalk pen. If that's no good, I'll do a little test. If I can see that chalk, I'm just going to forget that idea, and then maybe head out and see what I can find in the way of a proper pen to, yeah, get my little dragonflies sketched in. And I can pack up my fabrics here, the bigger pieces, a little bit, because we've got enough morsels sort of to play with. I guess another thing I need to have a think about is, do I want to add some little bits around the place? You know, we've got our big bases in, so also we can have a play with putting some little extra morsels on the panel as well. Oh, love it. And then it will be the start of the side of the bag. Yeah, that's going to stay up. I don't need interfacing, which is great because there's enough fabric here for my poor little fingers to drag it through. Well, you know what would be nice is we left a raw edge on it. Oh, look at that. We had all of that yumminess on the edge. And I hand stitch it together. And then I could see my layers. It'd be like a camphor quilt from India where you see the construction of it. That wouldn't be too hard. I hand stitch the bag together at the end. I could even overcast stitch. That might be a little bit too non-Japanese, but I could definitely use maybe a invisible stitch. Then I could carry on with this stitch here and go right around that edge. I could get another row here. I wouldn't lose any of my shape. Would that work? Stitching it to the lining. And then have all that yummy fabric showing through. I even like the felt that's popping in. And yeah. Something to think about. Oh, I do like that idea. It's like cladding the lining with my piece, and then I don't lose any of that integrity of the piece. Just the fact that I get to keep that is enough for me to consider it. So how would I do it? I would need to find that stitch line in there and then invisible stitch my piece into position. I think I could do that. and have a raw edge bag. Yeah, we're going to do that. Let me sleep on it. Let me think about the logistics of that and get these dragonflies sorted. And anyway, I'm getting sidetracked, for goodness sakes. Certainly would be a variation on the norm. And I love the fact that I could keep all of this. I'm going to give it a go. What the hang? What have we got to lose? We're going to do it. I'm going to, in the meantime, stitch around there with this, finishing that patch off. I can put another row in here, if not even another one. And then I will head out and try and find a pen. In the meantime, I'll look for that chalk pen, see if it's going to work, and I will see you all in the next video. Okay, guys, bye for now.